Honorable Men Discord. Let's talk about the massacre that took place in Shreveport, Louisiana. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So before I press play on this ABC news report, for those of you that are unaware, there was a father who took the lives of 8 children. 7 of the 8 were his children. 1, I believe, was a cousin related to the children. But if I'm incorrect about that, the news report will correct that. Now, the father that did this, his name was Shamar Elkins. He served the Louisiana National Guard. And some will say that this is a case of mental health because it seems as though it was unexpected. There was a photo that he had posted on his social media of him taking one of his children out for something to eat. And then here we are where he took the lives of all the children. And then he was eventually shot by law enforcement. But I'm going to play this news report and then we'll get into it further.
Breaking news, our nation saw its deadliest mass shooting in years when a Louisiana man shot and killed 8 children this morning. Tonight, we're learning more about that gunman, Shamar Elkins, who was the father of 7 of those 8 slain children. Tonight, the community of Shreveport has been left shattered. The children, 3 boys and 5 girls, ranging in age from 3 to 11.
Police say the crime scene spans 2 houses. It ended when officers opened fire on the gunman during a police chase. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Pulliam is live now with new details tonight. Tim?
Liz Jory, we now know the names of the 8 kids shot and killed, and we're also learning that the shooter had ties to the military and was known to police. This is a Facebook image of the Louisiana man law enforcement believe is a cold-blooded killer. Shreveport police identifying him as Shamar Elkins, the alleged gunman who shot and killed 8 kids. At least 7 of them were his own flesh and blood. The coroner released their names, a total of 7 siblings and a cousin ranging in age from 3 to 11. Jayla, Shayla, Kayla, Layla, Markaden, Soraya, Kedarian, and Braylon. Neighbors mourn their deaths at the crime scene.
This is not a freaking joke. This is real, and this is the result when someone snaps.
Police are still trying to determine what motivated the shooting. The attack began before sunrise when police say the suspect shot a woman at one home and then drove to another house to unleash more violence.
The gray house is the house in which 7 children were located inside that were deceased. There was an additional deceased child that looked like he had tried to escape the residence out the back on the roof.
Officers say a second woman was shot and is believed to be the mother of the suspect's children. Both women are now in the hospital in critical condition. Officers fired at the suspect during a chase after he carjacked the vehicle at gunpoint. ABC News reporting the 31-year-old joined the Louisiana National Guard in 2013 and served 7 years without being deployed. The shooting took place in House Speaker Mike Johnson's district. He offered thoughts and prayers to the family. The shooting impacting people beyond Louisiana. The mayor of Shreveport highlighting that in his statement that reads in part, "Tragedy like this does not belong to one family alone. It belongs to all of us. Today, our community is grieving the unimaginable loss of innocent children. There are no words that can make sense of it and no distance that shields us from it."
Take out this evil out of our nation, out of our parish, out of our city, out of our lives, God. We know mental illness is real, God.
This attack considered one of the deadliest mass shootings in Louisiana. The community asking for prayers.
This community needs you. I need you. Because how do we get through this?
According to the FBI, domestic violence crimes are up. Between 2020 and 2024, law enforcement reported more than 11,000 domestic violence murder victims. In this case, investigators are still trying to figure out what led up to this shooting. Tim Pulliam, ABC 7, Eyewitness News.
Tim, thank you. If you or someone you know needs help in regards to domestic violence, there are resources available. You can call 1-800-799-SAFE or text the word START to 88788. Help is available 24/7 and in multiple languages. Now,
listen. Mental illness. Mental illness is something that is a term that in today's society, we all gravitate to using the word mental illness. But I'm going to say that this guy, this father, this man was possessed. Again, I'm going to say he was possessed. Shamar Elkins was possessed. All right. In recent years, maybe within the last few decades, right? I want to say early 2000s, right? I want to say this term mental illness has popped up in recent years. I don't even know if we were using the term mental illness in early 2000s, but I'm going to say possessed. But the thing is, the world as a whole, at least those in power, have gone away from faith and any connection to religion. I'm not saying there's no one out there that's not connected to religion, but for the most part, a large portion of those in power, those who are in position to promote what's on TV, what we view, those political figures have strayed away from faith. And I'm not here to tell you what faith to believe in, but trust me when I tell you that man was possessed. And there's a lot of that going on lately in this world. And if you disagree, just take a look at world news and the type of acts that are taking place. Or maybe these things have been going on for years, and it's because now with social media it's more accessible to see these things. Where, world news, we get it in the palm of our hand with our cell phone. Whereas before the early 2000s, you wouldn't get information like this. It was still print. It was still magazine. It was still newspaper for the most part. But now that we have access to world news, we have YouTube, we can get news from other countries. But I'm going to say this man's possessed. There is no way you're telling me we're going to just chalk this up to mental illness. How could any person look at their children, young children? It's one thing to be enraged, and I'm not justifying murder, first of all. Let me just make that clear. But it's one thing to be enraged about something, whether it be about relationships, because we know there's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of murder that's related to domestic issues, right? It's one thing to look an adult in the face, and because you're enraged, your emotions is flaring, do something that you regret. But when you could look at a child, an innocent child, someone that depends on you, that looks to you for guidance, for protection, to look at a child and kill them, you're possessed. No one could tell me anything different. You're possessed. You could throw out the mental illness. You could hashtag mental health awareness. You're possessed. And unfortunately for this world, a lot of people are straying away from believing that there's more to life than what's under this sun. Some people think life is just going to work. Life is just the new acquisition you're going to acquire. I just came out the dealership. Look at this chain. All these material things have a lot of people losing sight of the reality of what we're dealing with in this world. How could you not notice these things? And for those of you that are living a successful life, you've been blessed. I'm not here to hate on anyone that's living a successful life, but no one can tell me that what's going on in this world isn't a war, a spiritual battle. And let me tell you right now, from my lens, evil is winning. From the TV shows, cartoons. We've seen different episodes that I've covered. Look at what's being put into cartoons. And you might say, what does this have to do with what this man did to his kids? It has a lot to do with it. This is spiritual warfare we're dealing with. And I'm not equipped to break out Bible verses. And I know some of you, even if I broke out Bible verses, you'd run away from this episode. And that's fine, because maybe you're not ready to hear stuff like this. But this is spiritual warfare. There's no way you can take out 8 children and not be possessed. I don't care what was going on in his life. I don't care if he found out he no longer was employed or his wife was choosing to leave him. Taking out the children, you're possessed. All right, let me just play this clip, and I'm going to move on to some other things I have queued up.
Lives of 8 children in Shreveport, Louisiana has been identified. 31-year-old Shamar Elkins. The early morning of August 19th, 2026, Shamar took attack on his entire family. At the time of this incident, married. Pictured here, him and his wife. Shaniqua Elkins, currently fighting for her life in the hospital, as well as another adult female. We don't have the full details on her yet. This is Shamar with his family only a few weeks ago. Huge family. Beautiful family, man. A lot of kids. They did not deserve this. Only a few days ago, Shamar posted this on social media, taking his oldest out to get something to eat. What happened? My God. Now, yes, Shamar was a U.S. Army veteran. However, he was a part of the U.S. Army National Guard. He served from August 2013 to 2020. And when he left in 2020, he was still a private. The entry rank when you join. He never deployed, and he never left the country. No combat missions whatsoever. This has left the whole community in shambles. What made this man snap like this on all those children? Crazy. So far, it seems this is the only clue they have to this case. Dads, if you could go back in time and have kids with a different woman, but still have the same kids, would you do it? But even then, how would that lead you to taking the lives of all your kids, man? Wow, tragic incident. Tell your kids you love them. Choose up.
All right. Again, I stand on the fact that there's spiritual warfare going on in this world. It's not subjected just to the United States in the world. All right. Spiritual warfare. We got this guy, Shamar Elkins, 31 years old, who did this in Shreveport. And this, to this date, this is probably the worst massacre that has happened in Shreveport. I believe they have that down as the worst massacre that has happened in Shreveport. All right. Especially for the top of the year. Right. And he was 31. Right. This happened in April, a few days ago, April 11th, out here in New York. You had the 44-year-old Anthony Griffin. He was fatally shot by the police after a machete rampage. He was wielding a machete in Grand Central Station. It says here that he injured 3 people, Griffin behaving erratically and claiming to be Lucifer. All right, we don't know what this gentleman has said. Maybe he had an interaction with words with the police officers, and maybe at some point in time they'll release the body cam footage. But we do know what he did to children. And I'm going to stand on this by saying he was possessed. I stand on that. But let's get to this gentleman over here, 44-year-old Anthony Griffin. All right? He himself was claiming to be Lucifer. He slashed victims on the 7 train and the 4, the 5, the 6 platform around 9:40 a.m.
The man responsible for taking the life.
Sorry about that. At 9:40 a.m. The attacks. Griffin entered the 7 line in Queens before attacking an 84-year-old man on the 7 train platform, then a 65-year-old man and a 75-year-old woman on the 4, the 5, and 6 platform. It says all 3 victims suffered serious injuries, including lacerations and a skull fracture, but are expected to survive. All right. This made headlines here in New York. All right. And we're just talking April, right? But a third one I could bring up. Let's just say, for those of you watching this episode, you're like, oh, here he goes again, bringing up that Bible stuff, right? And I haven't really said Bible stuff. What I said was, this guy who did this to 8 children was possessed. The term possessed, yes, is biblical because it was a demonic action that he did. I'm not here to talk about mental illness. It was a demonic action he did to be able to look at children. Look at these children in the photo. There's no way you, as someone who is right in the head. And yes, mental illness is a term that I believe, as human beings, we come up with these terms to define things. We need to be able to define them. But it's beyond just saying it's mental illness. It was a demonic action, possessed. All right? To be able to look at children like this. And again, the 44-year-old Anthony Griffin, what he did in Grand Central Station, out of nowhere. There was a clipping that I don't have posted up of someone who knew him who said they can't believe he did that. It wasn't like him. Doesn't that sound familiar? They don't know why he did it. And we won't know why, because just like this guy, this father, he was killed by police officers. And I'm not saying the police officers didn't do their job, because wielding a machete in Grand Central Station, yes, police will have to use force. This guy, they had to use force, right? But it would be nice to be able to study and find out why they did these things. But once these guys do things like this, you can't take the risk, the chance of bringing them in without harm, because they're too dangerous at that point. Then we also have the lieutenant who did the same thing to his wife because he was going through a divorce. I don't have that queued up. All of that within April. I wish I had that story queued up. But that the politician who was going through a divorce, who killed his wife and killed himself, all of this is within April. That's 3. And I want to say 3 within days of each other. We're not even talking about within weeks of each other, within days of each other. And April's not finished yet. And those are the 3 that I just brought up right now. I might have missed something. All right? I might have missed something. But these things are becoming too normal. All right? It's becoming too normal. This is not just about shooting. This could have been an episode about who's to blame. We could talk about gun laws and stuff like that. Who should rightfully have a firearm? That's a discussion also. I don't care what they implement. Nothing's going to be foolproof. He was in the National Guard for a long period of time without using his weapon illegally. But why now? And why to the children? I believe he was possessed. He was able to qualify to have a firearm. The system is never going to be perfect, and I don't have the solution for it either. I'm not here to try to figure out the solution. I'm here to say that this man was possessed. All right? I looked up what it means to be possessed. All right? It says possessed people often referred to as being demonized or having a demon, as individuals whose bodies or faculties have been overtaken and controlled by evil spirits. Scripture provides numerous accounts of Jesus and his disciples casting out these demons to deliver the afflicted. All right. Some forms of being possessed is self-harm. We see a lot of that in this world today. Demons often drove their hosts towards self-destruction acts, such as cutting themselves with stones or throwing themselves into fire and water. Personality changes. Possession can manifest as antisocial behavior, such as living among tombs or refusing to wear clothes. This one actually has scriptures right here. Luke 8:27. Well, self-harm also has the scripture reading. It's Mark 5, chapter 5, verse 5, and chapter 9, verse 22. You have superhuman strength. You have convulsions and seizures. Although I don't see a lot of cases of people with convulsions and seizures doing causing fatalities to people, causing severe harms, but I do see self-harm. That's common these days. That's too common these days. Personality changes is very common. Supernatural knowledge. Some possessed individuals exhibit the ability to recognize Jesus, true identity, or possess spirits, or divination. The ability to recognize Jesus, true identity, or possess spirits of divination. We're not talking about a movie, folks. There's plenty of movies out there that have depicted being possessed, but trust me when I tell you that man was possessed. Now, when I was younger, one of the first horror movies that stood out for me was The Exorcist, and that came out in 1973, starring Linda Blair as the main star of that movie. If you haven't seen that movie, that's where the bed raises off the floor and her head spins around, and she's speaking with a low tone, as if Lucifer himself was speaking through her. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up this movie is not to make light of what happened in Shreveport, right? I'm bringing that up to say art is an extension of life. Now, when I was younger, this movie set the precedent for what I thought a possessed person would actually look like, right? But that's not the case. What a possessed person looks like is that father sitting right there in the middle, and this thumbnail behind me, the way his eyes looks. I could not imagine the horror of these kids' faces when the person who feeds them, puts clothes on their back, takes them outside for, play days, bite to eat. When this man turns around and goes from being dad, the protector, to dad, the villain. You can't make this stuff up, people. And this is not going to be, again, this is not going to be simple to just blame it on gun laws and he shouldn't have had a firearm. Because trust me when I tell you, and that's why I brought up the situation in Grand Central Station. I was with a machete. If it wasn't a firearm, it would have been with a knife. So, and I'm not advocating or protecting the gun manufacturers, but it would have been something else that he would have used. It would have been something else. Because if he wasn't possessed, it would have been one of those things where, and I'm just assuming, it would have been something where he started to shoot at one of the kids. Maybe he might have, fatally injured a kid, fatally killed a kid, let me see. And eventually he would have snapped out of it. But he didn't snap out of it. All eight. Condolences to all those children. I hope the adults that are fighting for their life, they make it through. The friends of the children, the other family members, my condolences are with you all. And folks, pay attention to the world around you. The world is not just about material things. I say this all the time on this channel, and I don't say it from a place of, you only saying it because your channel's not, you don't have a lot of subscribers. If you had the money, you wouldn't care about this stuff. No, I would still talk about this stuff. Because all this stuff gets left behind. We're getting old by the day. And that I always say on my episodes. We're getting old by the day. And I don't care how many things you accumulate. I don't care how big the house is, how nice the cars are. Look at the world around you. You can't possibly have all those things and act as though the world around you isn't crumbling into pieces. And again, this is Shreveport. This particular incident is Louisiana. The 44-year-old, that was swinging the machete, that was here in New York. And the politician who killed himself and his wife over a divorce. And I don't even know if it was just those two. I don't know if there was children involved also on that one. I don't have that queued up right now. But again, all in April. All in different places. And you tell me that this is not we're not living in spiritual warfare? If it's not spiritual warfare, what is it? Oh, and by the way, I came across something where somebody said, oh, how could God let this happen? God didn't let this happen. This is free will. Free will was given to man, and this is what's going on. What's your thoughts on this? I'll see you in the comment section. As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, stay honorable.